We're back, baby. It's the charity stripe. Hit your free throws because they all free. Joshua Fisher, Nikki Snacks, Kreider, Nick. The Eagles fell. They're now 8-1. That whole division, like the Commanders are a half game out of the wild card for the NFC. So that whole division pretty much has a shot. All of the AFC East, as it stands right now, after unfortunately your Chargers lose, my Patriots, obviously only 9, some teams 10 games in, are in the playoffs.
Yep.
Which division is more surprising to you? The way the standings are broken down.
I would say the NFC East.
Okay.
Being all playoff contenders. I think by the end of the season, they actually might all be in the playoffs. Because if you look top to bottom at all of the divisions in the NFC, I really can only see one team prevailing in each division. In the North, right now it's the Vikings. Well, we'll get to the Packers. They could make a run. In the South, it's kind of wide open, but the Bucs probably will be the one that prevail.
You think another team in the South is going to...
No.
Yeah.
Your Super Bowl pick is done. The Saints.
Done. I mean, the Falcons are done after they lost to the pathetic Panthers.
And then you got the West, which is also, I think, probably a 2-horse race between Seattle and San Francisco.
For now, I think there's going to be a horse that emerges.
San Francisco.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they're finally healthy again. They've got Christian McCaffrey there. Utilize him with Elijah Moore. You got
they
Deebo
need
Samuel.
to make that. I mean, obviously, look, it's McCaffrey. Do they need to make that trade before we get back to the divisions?
It kind of looked like it revitalized them, though, right, and gave them some juice and allowed them to, I don't know, just become more complete team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always of the school of thought you can never have enough offensive skill players.
Of course.
Obviously,
especially the way guys go down all the time.
100%. I'll always point to the Tennessee Titans, and as well coached as they are, and I guess as well as they're managed, I still think they make a lot of questionable roster decisions. And that's unfortunate because that's a roster with pieces around it where they could be a much more competitive team. I'm always curious as to why they really have never and continue to not bring in another back alongside Derrick Henry. Is it like a personal thing? Like they don't want to make him feel uncomfortable? Because from a depth standpoint, knock on wood, God forbid he goes down like he did.
Last season. Spoiled their season.
I mean, they ended up finishing first, but like still, like having that guy to spell him in some instances. Like having Elijah Mitchell and CMC, it hurts. It's going to hurt CMC's fantasy production, although he did find the end zone. Receiving wise, Ayuk had a great game. Deebo seemed to really not do anything. Neither did Kittle. So, they don't have a quarterback like Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen that's going to spread the ball around on a continuous basis. Jimmy G's kind of trying to get in and get out and win the game.
Right. Well, I think that's partially why that move was so needed, because Jimmy G is not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not a Justin Herbert. He's not a Josh Allen. He's not a guy who can go out and win you games based on his own personal talent. He's a guy that can manage the game well enough and then get it to other superstars so they can do it.
Yeah.
Giving him as much help as possible. And they were saying on Sunday Night Football all night long how this is like a Pro Bowl team almost. You've got all pros all across the board. You've got Kittle. You've got Deebo. We've got Christian. You got Trent Williams on the line. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler, tied for most in the NFL right now for an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I mean, that you've got Juszczyk. Like, all these guys are legit all pros.
I mean, they don't have. I don't know how many picks they have next year coming up because they gave up a boatload for CMC, and obviously they had given away their picks to Miami to go up and get Trey Lance, who that deal is also looking highly questionable at the moment.
Yeah, but you can't really predict injury.
Sure, you can't. But the Niners, to me, I agree in the sense that they are looking like a Pro Bowl team because they have. If Elijah Mitchell's healthy, he's probably a top 20 running back, maybe top 15 in the league.
Yeah,
he starts at a lot of places. Obviously, CMC is CMC, and quite frankly, like really now that we're just like talking it out loud and speaking our minds and opening up our imaginations to the situation that has become a reality. It's great for a guy like CMC to have a guy like Elijah Mitchell, so you're not running him into the ground, and you could have him come playoff time.
Of course. I mean, that was the issue that they had in Carolina, where he was taking 99% of the offensive snaps. And what do you know? He got injured 2 seasons in a row.
I mean, you're getting not only are you taking 99% of the snaps, on a lot of those percents of the snaps that you're on, you're getting the ball.
Right.
So it's not like
how many touches did he average a game that one season?
I mean, it was ridiculous. Like Scary Terry, I'm sure he was on a lot of percent of the plays, but he had 12 looks and 10 catch, or like 10 looks and 8 catches against the Eagles in the Monday night game. Effective, yeah, but like he's getting hit max 8 times.
Right.
Pretty much, except for blocks. Maybe he gets roughed up on the play for they're going for the ball. But like really, you're getting hit 8 times. Where a guy like CMC, he's running the ball in like 99% of those snaps that he's on. He's running the ball like 20 times at least. So unless you're getting into the end zone, you're getting hit.
Yeah.
So I think the real question, honestly, is if I'm looking at this team, and this is me looking at this team now and going forward, is Deebo Samuel. Like Deebo came into this year, he was like, it's honestly almost a shock that he's still with this team.
Or they paid him all this money, he was holding out, then they forked up the money and then got hurt this season for a little bit, and now he's back and not really a factor.
No, I mean, he's a great offensive weapon, and he's a great receiver, and he runs the ball extremely well. To me, though...
They might look to trade him.
Yeah, why not? Why? Look, all of a sudden you have the best case scenario for the Niners is you have Ayuk, you have Kittle, you still have CMC, you have Elijah Mitchell, Jennings. You have Jennings, yeah, and I mean then you could always go out and get somebody a little bit cheaper. If you could trade Deebo for a second and a third, or a first and a fourth, all of a sudden that draft that we're talking about that you didn't have before, you all of a sudden have back again.
Right.
Like. Think about, like, there are so many teams that could use Deebo Samuel. New England Patriots, Green Bay Packers.
I think any team could use Deebo Samuel.
Sure. I mean, yeah. Chargers could use him right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll float back to the original question of, like, the divisions. And it's a weird statement and a weird question, but breaking down just the AFC East and the NFC East, who's more likely to make the playoffs, the Patriots or the Commanders?
Oof, I would probably say the Commanders.
Wow.
Just because I think there are more wild card teams out there in the AFC that can contend.
Sure.
Because I don't think they're going to take the division away from the Bills or the Dolphins.
Yeah, there we go.
And both those teams are probably making the playoffs. But just across the board, in every division, you've got at least 2 horses that are in the race.
Yeah. Well, in the East, you have... Are you buying the Jets? You're buying the Giants more than you're buying the Jets. You're buying the Jets more than you buy the Giants is the next question, I guess I could say.
That's a great question. It's really hard to say because I think the Jets have pulled off some quality wins.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that the Giants, they've won games, but I don't necessarily know that their wins are as impressive as the Jets have been.
Sure. I mean, the Jets win over Green Bay. I mean, they both beat Green Bay.
Right.
You know, but the way the Jets beat Green Bay, they beat them down. They really manhandled them. I think I look at both of those New York teams.
Jets beat the Bills, right?
Jets beat the Bills, 100%. Who, say what you will, like Josh Allen, I think everyone was really hyped on him, and I obviously, if he's in my fantasy team, think he's an incredible quarterback and an incredible talent. He's not Pat Mahomes yet. And I think
maybe ever.
Ever, yeah. Like he never will
He said,
be.
yeah, I think there's only one of one with Pat Mahomes.
He said that?
No, you just said yet, but I think it's never going to happen. Pat Mahomes is one of one.
Yeah, but I think many people were like, okay, he's the MVP pick. He's taking the next step. To win the MVP in the NFL, you really have to do something spectacular. And I think as much as like people are buying, like Tua's been incredible. His completion percentage is great. He's leading the leagues in yards per completion. Obviously, he has, I mean, what do you think? He has a new head coach who knows how to fly. Waddle's in his second year, and then you go out and get him Tyreek Hill, who might be at least have the most, he might have the best attribute of any wide receiver. His speed and his ability to get open downfield, and if you could hit him down there in stride, it's game over. So he may have the best single attribute of any wide receiver. So you add those two guys into the mix, plus like Mostert and Jeff Wilson are good, solid running backs.
Yeah, they both had great games.
Yeah, and the defense is good. I mean, the Dolphins are an extremely dangerous team, and I think, and I hope, and I imagine the Buffalo Bills aren't taking them lightly.
I don't think they will.
Yeah, I'm curious though. Is like, to me, Belichick doesn't lose this division if he's in Buffalo's situation.
Well, no, of course not. I mean,
Like, but I see like McDermott and Josh Allen could let this slip through their fingers.
yeah, they could.
You see what I'm saying?
The Bills have a history of choking.
Yes.
In the recent years.
We're just in the history.
In the history of
period.
yeah,
in the history
Bills. That's
period.
just this is the Bills.
Yeah, Heimlich maneuver over there in Buffalo. Got dark. Sorry.
You're right, but this just, I mean, you can't really play hypotheticals with if Bill was on this team, if Bill was on that team.
Yeah,
I mean,
I understand.
He's Patriots. He's not going to go to any other team. He's going to retire Patriot.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not going to happen. But
do you think they retire his like hoodie? You know how players get jerseys retired? Do you think they have like in like the Ring of Honor like a hoodie? They totally should for Bill Belichick.
They should, but I don't think they will. They're too serious of an organization.
I know. Isn't it ironic? Like that's my team.
No, not really. I mean, you're a Boston fan.
Yeah, but like they're so serious,
Yeah, I guess.
and I'm not. They're so buttoned up. I mean, back to the Patriots versus Commanders at the bottom of that division. Like the Commanders are 5-5. They've gone to their backup quarterback. I mean, I think Carson Wentz. I think Heineke gives him a better chance to win than Carson Wentz.
Seems like it.
Carson Wentz can throw you out of games.
Yeah.
Not saying he's not talented, but he can throw you out of games. B-Rob is back-ish. They're using them in Gibson at least kind of well.
Yeah.
But their receiving group is fantastic. Honestly, the receiving duo is really good. I think Brown's a really good third piece over there in Washington. But Samuel and McLaurin are a very underrated duo. Heineke's super solid. The defense is good. And you know what? Not only is the defense good, they're also getting their best player in the entire team back in Chase Young.
Yeah.
So they've gone this far without their best player, which is crazy.
Yeah.
They played Meek Mill, by the way, after the game in Philly in the locker room.
Did they?
Cool? Too much?
I don't think it matters. I mean, you're a music fan.
Yeah, I know, but like it's in after beating a team in Philly when you're still in last in the division. I know you beat an undefeated Philadelphia Eagles team, and quite frankly, that's probably the best thing for the Eagles. It's a good, it's
a wake-up call.
Wake-up call, yeah. Do you still think that they're the top team in the NFC?
Yeah, I think they got to be because there's too many teams that have started off really slow. My only other team would probably be the Vikings.
Who they beat?
Who they beat, yeah.
But that was
the Vikings.
That was in prime time.
Yeah.
So Kirk Cousins, like, obviously can't win in prime time.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's got a chance to rewrite that narrative.
I think Buffalo. I mean, literally coughed that game up. 4th and 18 were
yeah, they
like,
got
not
lucky.
only.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, with teams that make runs and teams that sneak into the playoffs and win Super Bowls, you have to have some magic. Be the team of destiny. Why not the Minnesota Vikings being the team of destiny?
I mean, I'm down. Like, talk about their receiving duo. Obviously, Jefferson's probably the best receiver in the NFL.
Is not even probably. He just is
Better than Devontae Adams. Like
better than Devontae Adams.
Okay.
Better than Cooper Kupp. R.I.P. Cooper Kupp this season. Better than Jamar Chase, another guy who's down this season. Better than CD, of course. Better than. I mean, there's only one other guy that I think who served a suspension earlier this year who is playing like the best receiver in the NFL, and that's DeAndre Hopkins. So those two right now, I think, are playing like the best.
I think you're shaking Devontae Adams' tree a little much, but I also think that I love the DeAndre Hopkins inclusion. To me, the Justin Jefferson catch, not only is the catch itself Odell-esque and just as impressive with the defender draped over him, it's also in 4th and 18.
What did Devontae Adams do against the Saints a couple weeks ago?
I mean, he was horrible.
He had one catch.
Yeah, I mean, he stunk, but he was sick.
If you're the best receiver in the NFL, you don't let that happen.
Yeah, and I'm going to say he was sick against the Colts, but Gilmore locked him down in that last play.
Yeah, they literally could not stop Justin Jefferson on their last drive or their game-tying drive.
It just goes to show you, man, like, it's no secret, like, Christian Watson, like, has his breakout game when the Packers beat the Cowboys, and, we'll stick again and keep it at least in the East as we go to the Packers. I know you wanted to discuss them. It's no surprise that Christian Watson has a breakout game and they win that game. Like, in this day and age, receivers are no longer a dime a dozen. Like, having a true number one receiver on your team really is a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, you need weapons.
Yeah. And
like you look at the Chargers right now. all their big weapons are banged up, and Herbert cannot do anything.
No.
Cannot skate by throwing touchdowns to DeAndre Carter.
He saw. I mean,
Yeah,
him and Palmer are good though. They're not bad.
Yeah, but DeAndre Carter, his entire career has been a return man. Like, they made him a wide receiver this year because Keenan Allen got hurt, and they're like, oh, well, he complements that offense, right? He's speedy. If he can catch a pass, run good routes, why not throw them the ball? But he's not a guy who should be getting 7 catches, 8 catches, 10 catches a game. He's a guy that, maybe just goes over the top once a game.
I mean, your team is built to have. I mean, that team is just in shambles. Keenan's been out pretty much the entire year. You've had Mike Williams half the year. You lose your left tackle
And right tackle now.
Yeah, I mean,
and center. And Joey Bosa.
I mean, Joey Bosa's that's par for the course at this point.
Yeah.
He's hurt every year.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it gets to a point where
J.C. Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, I could have told you the J.C. Jackson contract was questionable. As much as I love him, and as much as I think he's a good player, that Patriots system makes good players great and great players defensive players of the year, like Gilmore. Like, don't get it twisted. Gilmore is an incredible talent. Was great in Buffalo. He's been good on the Colts. Was solid when he played in the couple games for the Panthers. Gilmore was the defensive player of the year. Super Bowl champ with the New England Patriots. And it's the system, man.
Yeah.
The system really lends itself to, a really good cover corner.
I mean, regardless, though, it's still depth at the cornerback position.
Oh, yeah.
He's still a top
depleted
cornerback. It's not saying he's the best cornerback, but having him go down hurts.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, like a huge contract that y'all threw him. It's unfortunate. And it's looking like it's crazy. Everyone anticipated that division to be the closest division this year.
It's not at all.
And it's horrible. The Broncos are... It's a dogfight for the most disappointing team between the Raiders and the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
And I would honestly, as disappointing as the Broncos are, I would go to say it was the Raiders.
Yeah, you've got all this talent on your team. You're bringing Devontae Adams. You have a brand new head coach.
You go to the playoffs last year.
You go to the playoffs last year, right? Like, everyone's starting to get back onto the Derek Carr train, thinking that he's actually the guy again, and now it's just like the complete opposite.
Are you cool with him crying at the press conference?
I think it's kind of soft.
Yeah. But I appreciate his heart. And I appreciate, like, the Raiders are such a tough franchise, dude. Like, they're cool. Like, their swagger's good. Their logo's fun. Like, they have such a rich history and, like, they have such a nostalgia about them.
Of course. I mean, it's a classic team.
It's a classic team.
John Madden, Al Davis.
Yeah. But they are been classically bad by and large for as long as, like, we've really been, like, alive. Outside of that Super Bowl run.
Right.
Since then, they've been pretty much Doogie Howser.
That's just kind of how the NFL works, though. I mean, there's a lot of teams that had success early on in their franchise that just take a long time to really get back. You really got to get lucky. You got to get lucky. I mean, what the Patriots have been able to do is just out of this world. They weren't a good team before Brady and Belichick.
No, they weren't. But there are teams that, like, not the Chiefs necessarily, man. I mean, they're...
But, like, look, I mean, like, think about the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, right? The Cowboys, the Bills. I mean, the Bills never won a Super Bowl, but they were there time and time again. You had the Bears in the 80s, 70s, the Eagles, even the Jets. Like, these are teams that we have not really seen be good in the past 20 years.
The only team I've really seen, like, consistently be good is Steelers.
Yeah. So Mike Tomlin just beat after beating the Saints this week, he has beaten every single team in the NFL except for his own.
I mean, that Dennis Allen and McDaniels might not be head coaches, by the way. They might just be coordinators, dude.
Probably.
Like, McDaniels, like, Dennis Allen. Like, the Saints aren't a bad team.
They should be.
Why are you running Andy Dalton? I mean, we'll get into this more in the next segment, but, like, why are they running Andy Dalton if Jameis is healthy?
I don't know.
And it's not like, okay, we could tank for a pick. Their pick goes to the Eagles.
Yeah.
They traded their pick this upcoming year to get Trevor Penning, who unfortunately is the tackle who hasn't played yet. But it's not like they have their pick, so they can't tank for anything. So you might as well play to win, is what I would say. It's just the old 2 cents there. All right, Josh Fisher, Nikki Snacks Kreider, We're going to be back in just a hot second. Please don't go anywhere.
Don't do
With the
it.
charity stripe. Don't do it. Hit your free throws because they're free.